6:00. Thank you. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the meeting for the Planning Advisory Committee for April the 15th. My name is Brad Mitchell, and I'm the chair of the Planning Advisory Committee. I'll start the meeting by giving a brief overview of what the Planning Advisory Committee's mandate is, as well as a breakdown of how the meeting will progress. The Planning Advisory Committee consists of 9 citizens of St. John who have been appointed by the city's nominating committee. Our role is to provide advice to Common Council on applications to amend municipal development plans, zoning bylaws, Section 59 conditions, subdivision proposals, along with a number of other possible issues. Our views and opinions are independent. Tonight's meeting will progress as following. Shortly, the committee will adopt the agenda for this evening's meeting. Following the adoption of the agenda, we'll do a roll call for the members of the committee. We will then approve the minutes for 3 previous PAC meetings and then declare any conflict of interest for this evening's items. We will then go through this evening's applications and follow that agenda until it is complete. For each item, city staff will provide an overview presentation. Following this, the applicant will be asked to address the committee. Once the applicant has finished their presentation, the committee may ask follow-up questions. We will then open the public hearing where any members of the public are welcome to address the committee. Each speaker has 10 minutes. We ask you to please avoid repetition of concerns or viewpoints. If you have a large group, we encourage the delegation of a single representative speaker. Once it's your turn to speak, you will be called up to the pedestal. The committee may have questions for you following your address. Please note, the committee has read any letters or comments submitted for this meeting. I believe there is 4 different ones. The committee may ask the applicant to return to respond to any comments that arise during the public hearing. After this, the public hearing section is closed. No further comments may be made by the public or the applicant. At this point, there may only be questions or clarifications to city staff by committee. Please remember that this is a safe space and that we ask for everyone to conduct themselves in a respectful manner. Should anyone interrupting the proceedings will receive one warning to refrain from disrupting the meeting. Should disruptions continue, they will be asked to leave the meeting. Members of the public, you are welcome to remain in the chambers to listen to the debate and decision of the committee. However, when your item is concluded, you may leave. Should you have any follow-up questions, please contact city staff. And let's move on to this evening's meeting. So first of all, I'll ask for a motion to accept tonight's agenda. Moved by Terry, second by Ann. Any question? All those in favor? Aye. Roll call. My name is Brad Mitchell. I'm the chair of the Planning Committee. Second chair, Ann McShane. Second, Councillor Gary Sullivan. Councillor Jerry Lowe. Ashaiba. How'd I do? Good? Thank you. Terry Hutchinson. We are missing Peter Pappas, Phil Como, and Josephine Chekwas. Do we have any conflicts of interest that we have to declare at this time? Excellent. So the first item on the agenda is the PAC meeting from March the 18th, 2025. Any questions? Do I get a motion to accept those minutes? And Gary? Any question? All those in favor? Thank you. Just patience here for me because I do have something on the December 10th meeting. So the next one is a December 10th meeting. Just note on that you show members present, and there's 8 of us, and then members present again, but it should be members absent. You see that? Thank you. With the at this point, with the amendment, do we have a motion to accept? Ann and Terry, any question? All those in favor? Thank you. Next, meeting of November 26, 2024. I have no change. Anybody have any questions or anything on that? Motion to accept. Ann and Gary, question. All those in favor? Opposed? Thank you. All right, now we're going into rezoning application. Item 5.1 is loading slowly. Very slowly. Why is this not loading? Oh, it's coming. So is Christmas. Let's have me go through my phone. All right, I'll read over Jennifer's shoulder as this loads onto my computer. All right, yeah, I'm good. Sorry about that. So item 5.1, the applicant is Jill Higgins, landowner Ann Morick and Deanna Adams. Location is 6 Douglas Avenue, PID 00368910 and 0036902. It's presently plan designation is medium to high density residential. Existing zoning is neighborhood community facility. Proposed zoning is urban central residential. Application type is a rezoning. The Community Planning Act authorizes the Planning Advisory Committee to give its views to Common Council concerning proposed amendments to the zoning bylaw. Common Council will consider the committee's recommendation at a public hearing on Monday, May the 5th, 2025. City staff, please.
Thank you. So before you is a proposal to rezone 2 lots from neighborhood community facility to urban center residential to allow for the existing building and a small addition to be converted into approximately 15 to 18 residential units. This would include on-site parking stalls, a new accessible entrance, and new landscaping. The subject property is located on Douglas Avenue in the Old North End on the corner of Main Street and Douglas Avenue, and this area is designated as a character corridor known for its attractive mix of historic homes, and it coincides with the Douglas Avenue Heritage Conservation Area. This subject site is not heritage designated, but does contain a former place of worship that was built in the early 1900s. The property itself has an area of around 611 square meters and includes the existing religious building as well as a vacant lot to the south. And then the parking is actually on a separate lot to the north that is already appropriately zoned. The proposed development would see the form of the existing building maintained, including that steeple, but would see some improvements such as the siding, new windows, and a new entrance on the side that would be accessible. A small addition would be added to that vacant southern lot, just kind of to the right of the church and near the end of the lot. The separate lot for parking is already paved and curb cut as it was used for parking for the place of worship. The site is designated as medium to high density residential in the municipal plan, which supports this proposal. The site is also within the mixed use Lansdowne intensification area, which encourages density. The most relevant municipal plan policy for this proposal is LU 46, which directs new development and redevelopment to achieve a minimum gross residential density of 45 units per hectare. The proposed adaptive reuse from the institutional building to a residential structure does achieve this density and then helps increase the overall neighborhood density. Other relevant municipal plan policies include urban design principles for intensification areas, and this proposal represents an opportunity to support additional density while retaining the community character as the proposed development utilizes an existing building that conforms to the neighborhood context for scale, massing, and height. The site is zoned as neighborhood community facility, which is designed to accommodate a range of community-oriented facilities such as arenas, community centers, elementary schools, recreation facilities, even supportive housing. It's also designed to accommodate places of worship like the current building once functioned as. The urban center residential zone accommodates a wide range of serviced urban residential development in any form, from single unit to townhouses to apartments. The urban center residential zone is also specifically intended for land that's in the medium to high density residential designation and in intensification areas. This means the zoning would align with the municipal plan designation. Letters were mailed out to property owners within 100 meters of the subject site on April 2nd. 2 letters were received as of this presentation in opposition. The public notice was posted on the city's website on April 14th, and the public hearing date is scheduled for May 5th. As this proposal does align with all relevant policy, staff do recommend Common Council rezone the property from neighborhood community facility to urban center residential. Thank you.
Thank you. I have a question here because the two letters that we received, one was opposed and the one from Place 400 looked like it was in support of it. So is it 1 and 1?
My apologies, 1 and 1.
Okay, okay. Does anybody else have questions for city staff? Go ahead, Ann.
Thanks, Mr. Chair. Just a quick curious question. So there's that UD 11 about urban design. It talks about like complementing existing context. So I'm curious, who decides that? Is that just through the development office itself? And do we have standards or is it somewhat subjective? I was curious more than anything how we're applying that. Yeah.
It is a little bit subjective. It's generally the development officer who does check at the permitting stage. In this case, as the existing building is as old as most of the
Right.
community there, it does conform to the character. in
Yeah,
the
it's
sense
nice to
of
see that redevelopment anyway. Yeah.
We don't get into details on siding as much as we do on the scaling, the massing, the height, the form.
Thank you. Thanks.
Thank you. Any other questions at this time? Thank you. At this time, I'll ask the applicant to come forward. If you could state your name, please.
Hello, Jill Higgins. I'm the architect on the project.
Thank you. And have you read staff?
Yes, I read the staff report and it's great.
Do you have anything else you would like to add? Nope.
Not at this time, unless people have questions for me.
Do you, any committee members have questions at this time? Okay, thank you. So at this time, is there anybody from the public that would like to speak for or against this development? If you'd like to come forward and speak, if you could state your name and your address, please.
Hi, I'm Nancy Smart.
Thank
Sorry,
you.
I'm Nancy Smart, and I'm at 77 Clarendon Street, which is a side street off of Douglas Avenue. And when I read the report that said 15 to 18 units, it's already a very congested area, and we already struggle with the city when it comes to parking and plowing and things like that. And according to the package that we got mailed out, it looks like approximately 9 parking spots to 18 units when the average person would have 2 vehicles, like per family would have 2 vehicles. So I'm curious as to the units that were going to be developed. Are they going to be family, single people units? And how are we going to deal with the infrastructure? Douglas Avenue is already under tight restraints at Main and Douglas Avenue. I've gone to the city before asking for a proper crosswalk to be put in, to have lights. I've been hit, almost hit a few times there. The city has already, squashed that, said it was a provincial road on Main there, that I had to go there. So what are we going to do to kind of help with the infrastructure are some of the questions that I have with the already congestion of the neighborhood.
Okay, thank you. Does anybody from the committee have questions? No, thank you.
Okay.
Anybody else? Please come forward, state your name.
Hello, my name is April Roy. I was submitted a letter in opposition to the development. Reason being, I've been in the community right there on Clarendon Street, first block, Douglas Avenue, first block, and I've lived there for over 30 years now. And I know exactly the congestion. I know exactly what this is going to pose for our community. Right now, we are submitted to congestion in parking. Clarendon Street needs at least, just our block alone, the first block needs at least 21 parking spaces. We got 14 and we struggled to accommodate the people in the tenements above the homeowners, or people have one-car driveways. That is not enough to service our street. We used to get snow removal done and they would take the snow away. Now they haven't taken the snow away since the pandemic. And so basically, we're not allowed to shovel. I'm not allowed to shovel. My husband and I are retirees, and we've been retired for a number of years, and we have to shovel ourselves to our vehicle, clean our vehicle out, and you can face serious litigation from people calling the police on you because you're clearing your parking space out and you're piling the snow on the sidewalk, which we were told that's where we had to put it. So we have to just shovel out here, shovel out there, and leave the snow where it remains. And it remains there until snow band. Once the snow band is incurred, we have to find a place to park. My particular home has no driveway. We are street dependent for parking. And half of the people who live on our street are parking on Douglas Avenue. There are 7 parking spaces on Douglas Avenue. We have a 12-unit on the corner of Clarendon, and those people don't have a place to put their snow and their cars, and they often end up in overflow, which means they're taking the parking on the one side. We have upwards of 150 feet from Douglas Avenue through to the next parking available on the right side. It goes to Clarendon Street, is bus stop. We don't have any parking there. We have 7 on the opposite side where the church sits and a bus stop. And then we have about 350 feet up the road, you can start parking on both sides. We have a church that's no longer a church, the Methodist church, not a church anymore. Hasn't been a church in years, and it has a no parking in front of the church sign. So there's no parking all the way up for another 350 feet on both sides, but you do have a limited amount of parking from, let's say, Clarendon Street, in front of the buildings across the street at the head, and then you have a bus stop. And then on top of that, you put a driveway in there. You have a congestion on the intersection that we have a problem just getting across the street without being killed, because people don't recognize we've asked for flashing lights. Not only that, but let's say you're turning in to drive home. Clarendon's one way, so we have to come in right there at Douglas Avenue. We end up with congestion just trying to get into Douglas Avenue. And then if you have somebody who's going to go in that driveway that's proposed for this development, he's going to sit there. You have a car and a half. If you have that coming in, turning left, you have a car and a half, and that guy's going to stop there. That's going to produce congestion right there at that intersection with no lights. We have lights where the McDonald's is. We should very well have lights just for the crosswalk, but here we have a bus stopping there, and we have a bus stop in here. These buses come every 10-15 minutes going east and west. And then we don't have any parking right up to there. So we have those, and our street, I know at least 2 families are going over and parking on Douglas Avenue. And then when we need to get off the street snow band days, we have nowhere to go. We used to go in the church if we asked permission to go in the church, but the church is not plowed out the way it used to be, so we don't have that anymore for overflow when it comes snow removal time. This congestion it's not, I have nothing against providing homes for people, but what you're doing is putting us in a position where we're going to face people arguing and fighting on the street, calling the cops on each other. Like, really? And that's been happening. It's a reality. And we're doing well to keep our heads together and being a nice neighbor, treating our neighbor as ourselves. So at the end of the day, all I'm saying is no to this, not 18. Hey, you want to put 3 or 4 units in there? That little bit of parking that's on the side there that they used it as a church. And I'm telling you, the church had no problem because nobody was on the street or the intersection Sunday morning. Nobody was there to cause congestion. But in the middle of the day at 4 o'clock, they're coming home. They're going to stop right there and turn left. How can they do that without causing accidents? We're all going to pay. We're going to pay. Our quality of life is going to be diminished no matter how many opportunities people get to live in a nice, clean apartment. I love that idea, but not there. We can't afford it. And if you don't mind, we had an issue years ago, as I said in my opposition. We should have had a service street. Even the city would have had a place, a whole empty corner that sits in landlocked on that corner where to put the snow. Right now, they don't put the snow. They used to carry it away. They used to come with the snow blower and take it away so we could all park bumper to bumper. But some of those people who live in those houses, they even come out sometimes and park on the street so they can save their parking for their company when they come. Like, please. Just a consideration. I don't think that we want to put any more problem on that intersection or on our streets. Thank you for your time.
Committee members have any questions for April? No, that's fine. We'll ask city staff to address some of these concerns that you have. Thank you.
You're done? I'm okay, no question.
Is there anybody else that would like to speak for or against this? Please come forward, state your name.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Hamid Khodabakhsh, and sorry, this is my first time come here. And I have two questions. Maybe it was presented before, but let me to actually ask again this question. For me, is the church have to be demolished? That means for this plant and project, it has to be demolished. And my second question is how many apartments is considered to build inside or what? Because they said is change it to multiple property. That means how is going to be there? It is my second question. How many apartments is single units, 2 units? Because for me, I have a multiple property close to this building. So it is not exactly object about rezoning something because maybe the city needs whatever, or maybe, of course, we have to listen to the people that living there to consider which is the best. But for me, the question is how many units, how it will be inside. You know, it's for me is like a building without any sketch. I don't know how is inside, how will be. So then, for example, if I said, if the committee consider, okay, rezoning, then maybe neighbors face a problem because exactly is not clear the second or third stage. So for me, if I want to make decision yes or no, I have to see exactly what will be the project, how is actually they establish, how they make it. I need to see whole presentation, whole project planning, anything that's then as a neighbor, I can say, okay, no problem, it will be good. Or maybe the people sitting here, they said, oh no, really? Or maybe you, I am not sure. See, exactly, it's make the problem for others because, yeah, there is many apartments is in around the Midagewell, somewhere is building now, so they trying to solve the problem. However, to see what we have now and what we have be next year, it is necessary for neighbors to exactly, to deeply see the plan and project. Thank you.
To answer your first question, is the church, the building is not being demolished. In my understanding is there's 18 units? 15 to 18 units will be, and there is an addition on the right, if you look at the church on the right-hand side, where there's kind of a parking area there now, that's the plan is to add on to that
The
space.
church will be
No,
used
you-
as a church or use it as apartments that living there. So that is my question, actually.
Yeah.
I'm not architect, but I am engineer. So it is really my question, 18 units in that area.
Yes.
How is to build? How many 1 unit? How many 2 units? How it is? I working with city about actually permission, something that I see is not easy job to do it. There are many rule and regulation that architects know. So the point is exactly how it will be, because something now, for example, in Toronto, we see the people objecting 400 candle. That means we also see it is be useful for people, is something for low budget people, something else, or no for high class. That's, I have to see. And for me, still I have this question. This church has its own structure, big hall, different things, and many safety, many things that we have to consider. Even 18 units about the city, about the source system, about the water system, and it is very necessary, not make like a, something deep inside New York City, something, buildings come up, and then we have some traffic, some many noisy area. So I believe the area should consider the limit of the apartment. Somebody have to make decision. If one rezone, fortunately or unfortunately, change the church to the building, so how many units can be inside to the neighbors, safe, and actually make easy life for them, not actually look to the business side for the companies, and then we make problem for city to live that has been in this area for a long time. It is respect to the people who has their own property in this area. I am an immigrant, but I consider this, that since any project that come to the city, come to the area, should respect the heritage, should respect the people live there for long term, for long time, because as I see, many company come to this town, start the project, buying the properties from British Columbia, from Ontario. So I'm not actually blaming them. They have money. Somebody said this is laundering money. So there are many things that you see recently, all back to the, all back, sorry if I said, maybe ignore that part, but yeah, but let me, because I am citizen, it is inside. Sometimes you not bad to know what's going on, what we think. They're coming, they're buying the property, they just put the plywood, leave it for a long time. The local people cannot compete because of the price. The people going out, then how we can actually control the city?
Yes.
That is the Mr. Michel. Thanks a lot. It is regarding to your question, and I hope it will be clear, for example, later, how many units, how they going to unit based on the, again and again, last repetition, to be not hurt or unuseful for the neighbors that they live in. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Is there anybody else that would like to speak for or against this applicant? The second?
We should check, we do have, I believe the property owners are on Teams, and I don't know if they.
Is there anybody on Zoom on this? I'm not used to having this.
Yes, there is somebody on Zoom. Jill in council is joined by myself, Deanna Adams, and Ann Monick, who have been, who are interested in speaking just briefly to introduce ourselves. If that's okay?
Yes, please go ahead.
We just wanted to say thank you for the opportunity to be in front of you today. We have spent a great deal of time trying to design the building for the future, to repurpose a current property in the city, and are utilizing our depth and breadth of skills in property development and property management in order to try to create something that's works for the city and for the building in concert with Jill. So we do appreciate the opportunity to be here today. Thank you.
Thank you. Any committee members have questions for the developers? Ann?
Thanks, Mr. Chair. I'm not sure if you know at this time or how far along you are with the design, but can you speak to maybe a couple of the questions that came up, and just in terms of, is it 1 unit, 2 units, 3 units? Is it, like what the makeup of the demographic of a tenant that will be in there maybe? And I mean in terms of like families versus non, likely to drive versus non? Thanks.
Jill, do you want to take that question?
Hello. So currently with the design, we have 18 units. 3 of those units are 2 bedrooms and the remainder are 1 bedroom. One of those 1 bedroom are also a barrier-free unit for the building to meet all the relevant codes. As far as the demographic for rental, it is going to be market rental. I'm not sure if Deanna has a specific target group that she will be looking at. And as far as drivability and if they will be having cars, it is intercity. So, and it's right on major transportation infrastructure. So the plan would be to just maintain the parking spaces that are there and that the remainder of the people in the building would be using the infrastructure of the transportation for the city.
Thank you. Do you have more questions?
No,
on
I
this?
just want to say thanks. I know people are concerned and some people are like, oh, it'd be a great place for a snow lot, I think one of them said, but truthfully, these kinds of kind of corners on these main areas are ripe for at where you specifically add density. Yeah, I mean, as an argument, I guess it's tough for me to hear. Some people have 2 or 3 cars and need more space, and I'm like, I got a shared driveway with a neighbor. So, and I only live like 2 blocks away from that. So I don't know if that's a reason to stop providing housing for people. But I do hear the concerns in terms of like sorting some of that out and snow clearing and things. But that's a city issue. That's not a development issue. But thank you. Yeah.
Are there any other questions for the developer at this time? Thank you, and thank you for joining us online.
Thank you.
Is there anybody else that would like to speak for or against this application? A second and last call. At this time, I'll close the public portion of the meeting. And wondering whether we would like to call staff back? The answer is yes. Please. I have a quick question in regards to the concerns of the neighbors. I guess what as I drive around and I didn't realize that church that was up the way didn't have parking. Like a lot of these things happened like 15 years ago and nobody's ever changed it. How do we go about getting some of these things updated so that this church where there's no parking in front of, can we have this reviewed at the same time as part of this?
So we do circulate our applications when they come in to the different departments of the city, which includes our parking and traffic infrastructure team. And they do review the site itself and the surrounding area. And they had no concerns for this project. It was at a level of increase that was acceptable for the area. I believe, as one of the ladies stated, that the main street is owned by the province. So I don't believe we have a lot of control over parking or like light systems on it. But this would be a question maybe for our traffic team.
And I could indicate, we can relay that feedback to our team who's working on the Main Street redesign to see what extent of Main Street is being looked at and whether that information about the opposite side of the street church has been incorporated and can be incorporated going forward.
That leads me to my next question and concern that they had is in regards to the traffic at Douglas and Main Street. It's, in my opinion, a dangerous intersection, especially if people are trying to turn left. How do we, now we're not going to add 18 cars, but we're going to add probably 10 cars to that. And it's just more traffic and more problems, I guess, at that particular intersection. So I don't, when they're redoing Main Street, how far up Main Street are they doing? Are they going up as far as McDonald's? Are they going down as far as Adelaide? Is that the redevelopment? How far is it?
We would have to speak with our traffic team about that, as this project was under the threshold to require any traffic study due to the scale, and really a conversion from a church or community facility zone to residential. They did not request a TIS, so they did not get into a deep assessment of traffic impact that would result from the scale of units being proposed, but we can flag that to the team.
Thank you. Any other committee members have questions for city staff on this application? Thank you. So at this time, does committee members have any further questions or motions or what?
I'll move staff recommendation with the caveat that I'd like to see staff relay that information about the parking concerns and how it all intersects with Main Street. However you want to word that, that makes sense, that would be wonderful.
That's
Yeah,
perfect.
thanks.
And I have a seconder. All those, any question? All those in favor? Opposed? Thank you. That finishes 5.1. Next one, just give me a moment here to get out of that. Next one is a text amendment. It's a zoning bylaw amendment. The applicant is the City of St. John. Community Planning Act authorizes the Planning Advisory Committee to give its views to Common Council concerning proposed amendments to the municipal plan and zoning bylaw. Common Council will consider the committee's recommendation at a public hearing on May the 5th, 2025. Thomas, if you'd like to. There we go. Plug it in.
Okay. This amendment is seeking to remove the scrap or salvage yard use from the list of permitted uses within the medium industrial zone, which would limit the scrap or salvage yard use to the heavy industrial zone. Scrap or salvage yards that are currently zoned medium industrial will keep their existing zoning and be added to the exemptions list in Schedule E of the zoning bylaw. Out of the 5 properties within St. John that are licensed by the province to operate scrap or salvage yards, only 2 properties, 65 Recycling Street and 85 Whitebone Way, are zoned medium industrial. 120 Patty's Hill is zoned heavy industrial and will not be affected by these changes. 991 Fairville Boulevard and 1000 Grandview Avenue are zoned regional commercial and future development respectively. This would mean these 2 properties would not be able to realize their provincial license without a rezoning to heavy industrial, which would not be supported by staff. A scrap salvage yard is defined in the City of St. John's zoning bylaw as any land or building used for storage, wrecking, disassembling, refurbishing, or handling of goods, machinery, or motor vehicles. It may also include a recycling facility, the sale of salvage materials, or outdoor storage. While metal shredders would be permitted under this definition as it relates to wrecking and disassembling, staff are adding the term shredding to the definition for further clarification. When looking at the largest municipalities within New Brunswick, most restrict scrap or salvage yards to their heavy industrial zones, except for Edmundston, which is unique and requires council approval subject to Section 59 conditions. Screening and fencing regulations are common in the 3 largest cities, typically requiring opaque fences between 2 and 5 meters and prohibiting materials from being stacked higher than the fence. Setback requirements for residential areas are not commonly specified, except for Woodstock, which mandates a 200-meter setback. An offensive heavy industrial use is defined in the zoning bylaw as a manufacturing process or material that generates hazardous emissions, excessive noise, vibration, unsightly storage, or other conditions harmful to health, safety, or the character of the neighborhood, such as a brewery, pulp and paper mill, or a scrap and salvage yard. This definition makes clear that scrap or salvage yard use is intended to be solely within the heavy industrial zone. Being defined as an offensive heavy industrial use also comes with increased setbacks and considerations in comparison to the medium industrial zone. Scrap or salvage yards inherently involve significant outdoor storage, heavy truck traffic, dismantling operations, and potential environmental hazards, making them incompatible with the intent of the medium industrial zone. Their operations align with the offensive heavy industrial zone standards by definition, where larger scale industrial activities requiring extensive buffering from other land uses is required. The increase in setbacks required in the IM zone versus the offensive heavy industrial zone are significant. The front and flankage yards are 22.5 meters greater. The side and rear yards are 7.5 to 15 meters greater, depending on the type of adjacent zoning to the property. And the maximum lot occupancy is 5% less in the offensive heavy industrial zone, further limiting the extent to which scrap and salvage yards can operate in proximity to the property lines. Letters were mailed to the 2 affected property owners on April 4th, and the public notice was posted on the city's website on April 14th. There was 1 letter received as of this presentation, and the public hearing is scheduled for May 5th. Staff are recommending that Common Council adopt the bylaw amendment CP 111-193, which would amend the definition of scrap or salvage yard to include the term shredding to better reflect the abilities of the scrap or salvage yard use. Amend the medium industrial zone to remove scrap or salvage yard use from the permitted list, or the list of permitted uses, and amend Schedule E to permit continued operation of the 2 scrap or salvage yards that are currently zoned medium industrial. Thank you.
Thank you. Committee members have any questions for staff? So at this time, normally the applicant would come forward, but it's a text recommendation. So we open this to open meeting. And if anybody would like to speak on this, they can go ahead. This is a text amendment to prevent or to stop scrap or salvage yards in medium industrial zones. If you'd like to speak on this matter, please come forward. I will ask that we speak on this text amendment. Please.
Yeah, I'm Dawn Alexander, a resident of Lorneville, close to Patty's Hill. And from my understanding, it sounds like 2 scrap yards are going to be shut down because they're currently medium industrial.
No, I'll provide clarification. This is not a text amendment to shut down any of the existing scrap or salvage yards. What is being proposed is that moving forward, no new scrap or salvage yards would be able to establish in the medium industrial zone. The 5 existing scrap or salvage yards that exist within the city, 2 are located in medium industrial zones. 1 is located in heavy, and the other 2 do not have yards associated with them. They strictly have offices. So this would impact the 2 medium industrially zoned ones. They would be exempt. They would be able to continue to operate, but on other medium industrial land in the city, an applicant wouldn't be able to come forward to propose to establish a new one.
Concerning the Patty's Hill site, is there any regulation on the size of horsepower of shredder can go in there?
That is in heavy industrial, and what we're dealing with is the medium industrial text amendment. It has nothing to do with the heavy industrial or anything to do with Patty Hill or any of the other yards that are in the heavy industrial zoning.
Right, so the amendment is only for the medium industrial scrap yards.
Correct.
Patty's Hill stays is what it is right now. It can do,
It's beyond our,
No
it's not what
regulation.
we're here to discuss
Right.
this evening.
okay, just wanted to clarify that. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anybody else that would like to speak on this text amendment? Second call. Is there anybody that would like to speak on this text amendment? Ann, are you looking to talk?
Yeah, I mean, especially since the Lorneville residents are here. I wanted to say thanks because I think the reason this motion is even on the floor is because of the hearing, at the Lawrenceville hearing, where you had highlighted that perhaps scrap and salvage yards were a bit too much for a medium industrial zone. So I think the whole city benefits from this move. So I, as a city member, thank you for that.
Thank you. Yeah. Third and final call on the public hearing. At this point, we'll close the public hearing. I'll ask if we would like to bring city staff back for any question. Doesn't seem to be the case. Do I have a motion
Yeah,
or conversation on this?
I'd like them to explain in layman's language exactly what's taking place here. I know what's taking place, but I'd like them to come back and say that simple, what's going on. That it's being moved from A to B, period, so people can understand definitely. And the day that lady's going to be able to speak is the 12th of May. She'll definitely be able to speak then regarding the shredder and the top of the hill of heavy industry, but that should be known. So in layman's language, you tell me what all this is.
Yep. So as Ann had mentioned, this came out as a result of the Spruce Lake expansion. Sorry. And the city found that it was appropriate to remove the scrap or salvage yard from the medium industrial. Medium industrial, I'm sure as you are all aware now, makes up quite a bit of King William Road, and there are other aspects and other places in the city that are also zoned medium industrial. And medium industrial is supposed to be that in between of industrial uses. So by removing that, we're further trying to move this use away from residential centers.
Has you made it clear enough for you, Jerry? Yep, okay. Thank you. I'm sorry, we have closed public hearing part of it, sorry. You can ask staff later on these things. So is there anybody else that would like to add anything, a motion or conversation on this? Have a seconder, any question? All those in favor? Opposed? Thank you. That's 5.2. Do I have a motion for adjournment? All those in favor? Thank you. Thank you. Oh, 10 to 7. Dale.